Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. We've got some great things to talk about, so let's get right to it. Markets have been surprisingly, uneventful. A couple of negative days on Dow and S&P and so on. They're just kind of flat or a little bit in the negative. So this is pretty common because this week we really have no big announcements until Wednesday. We have some interest rate announcements for the UK and Europe, and then there's just really nothing in the US until Friday, I believe. We're going to look at that in just a moment, but that's kind of common. There's just not a lot of news. There's not a lot of things driving the market one direction or the other, and so that's why we're seeing a lot of this just kind of sideways, not so negative, not so positive kind of movement that we've seen in the U.S. markets. Again, we have Australian retail sales out today. This should be a decent little mover. This is just one of those weeks. We like I said, we get these weeks every couple of weeks, every 5 or 6 weeks where there's just not a lot in the way of U.S. markets, and that's since so many pairs that we trade are dollar related, it really can kind of slow a lot of the movement down. So you can see here's Monday, nothing for the U.S. Tuesday, one announcement for Australia. Wednesday, one announcement for Australia. And this isn't even an important one, really. Then we have trade balance for China on Wednesday is a little bit of an important one. So you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pretty empty, pretty uninteresting stuff. And then we run into Thursday, which is a big one. We have interest rate announcements for the UK. And for Europe, we have some rate statements, which are always big movers. ECB press conference, that's always one to look at. Unemployment claims are, always worth paying attention to for the U.S. And then on Friday, we have trade balance for both U.S. and Canada. So end of Friday, we have some better, more exciting stuff. It's just until we get there, as far as U.S. goes, Thursday should give us something, but I'm not expecting really huge movement between today and tomorrow just because the news is so sparse. Okay, so Euro has not really done too much. It's not too interesting to me at this point. I'm just going to briefly review this. I'm still interested in buying at around 129.95. That's where I think we're going to see a little bit of activity. 129.95. We're currently about 130.70, 70.80, right around there. And it's pretty, it's all pretty scarce, nothing too exciting. What I would look at doing, and what I am kind of interested in doing here, is just trading a break of this trend line right here. We have this little trend line. The euro's been bouncing up, but it's failed off the 200-day moving average. Here's our daily pivot. We've just about reached that daily pivot, give or take, a pip or so. And so I'd like to see a break of this trend line and trade this down into that support at 129.95. That's where I'm getting interested at buying and breaking, quite frankly. If we do break that level, then that's even better, and I think we've got a good opportunity for that. But for the most part, I don't want to do I'm not really interested in buying. I'm just looking for that break of that trend line and that test of 129.95. So that's really all I'm looking for on the euro dollar here. We could be in the midst of a semi-ugly head and shoulders pattern. So we can see a head right here, and our shoulders are kind of having a heck of a time. We'll see how this one forms. But both of these have just about the same high, both these potential shoulders here. So again, it's not a great head and shoulders pattern, but it's an okay one. And so this is going to be something worth looking at. And again, we could really threaten 129.95 if we get there in kind of a sharp fashion. But again, that's why I'm just interested in this trend line right now. I'm interested in shorting through this trend line into that support. It's really about all I see on the euro dollar right now, and then we'll deal with 129.95 when we get there. But as for right now, pretty uneventful otherwise. And just quickly on the pound dollar is pretty uninteresting as well. I'm actually headed over to the euro yen and some of the yen pairs because I think there's some good activity there. But pound dollar hasn't changed too much. Weekly chart, big reversal candle, possible big break, very possible big break. But we got to get there first. And so you can see on the daily chart here that trend line is still 50-60 pips away. And you can see this trend line now, very, very good, solid one. And so as we get down into this trend line, which once again is around 160, and we're about 160.50, we're going to have support at about 159.50 at the 200-day moving average and about 160 at the trend line here. So possible buying opportunities, but I think we have another 50 pips of downside very potentially in the works on this pound dollar. As far as everything goes, it's not the levels they're not blowing my mind as far as everything else before we get to that big support. We did miss this pivot and this pivot still, so we have a good opportunity of running up there. Just watch for a break of this trend line. If we get there, let's look to trade this down into 160. This is kind of like the euro, not too interesting until we get down into some of that bigger support. So 160 and 159.50 is our important. Those are our important levels on the pound dollar for support, and then 129.95, 130 area is important on the euro dollar. And until we get there, I'm not super interested in too much right now. I'm going to get to the yen pairs in just a moment. Aussie dollar, just a reminder, I'm not really loving any of the dollar pairs right this moment, but just a reminder, we have some reversal candles here on the daily chart that are kind of holding this down. But big trend line right here, weekly trend line, liking this whole area right here, still looking for a possible test of about 105.50, and then an opportunity to short with stops above this high here, which are around 105.85 area. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. So I think we've got a good opportunity to do something with that. Lots of reversal candles here. We're having a heck of a time with this 105 kind of 15 to about 105.25 area. So that's going to be good resistance, but not too interested in anything until we get to about 105.50, at which time I'll be looking to short the Aussie dollar against about 105.85. Okay, let's dive into this euro yen real quick. It's starting to do something, and in fact, it's breaking below a multi-day low and weekly low so far, and this is about 113.70. We're at about 113.60 right now. We're really starting to kind of top out here. Some nice reversal candles, some nice things in the works, and we have some good support here around this 113, 50, 60, 70. So if we can get a break below this, then we may start to have an opportunity to run into and towards this 200-day moving average. It's about time a correction starts to happen. Daily chart is pretty overbought. You can see the weekly chart is really suffering at that 200-day moving average, and there's a big area to kind of fill in there. We have some open spaces that need to be filled. We have some missed pivots that you can see. This is kind of zoomed out, probably tough to see. We have a missed pivot right here that never got reached at 112, about 112.80. Then we have a big gap here of about 70 pips. It goes from about 111.80 to about 11100, and then we have another missed pivot here at about 111.10. So lots of big downside targets, which we love. So we want to see some big downside targets, and we've got plenty of those. So with those targets, I'm looking to reach those. But we got to find a good entry on this euro yen, and I'm starting to really like this kind of 113. 50, 60, 70 area, and I want to see, first of all, I want to see this level broken, and we're breaking this. I want to see a nice 1 hour candle open below 113.70, which we should easily see. We're about 13 minutes till the end of the hour, and looks like we're going to have a nice open below this. Watch out for this daily pivot right here. We've got this nice little daily pivot that's about 65 pips up there that the market may try to reach at some point. So let's keep an eye on that, but starting to like shorts on this euro yen. So it's getting interesting there. We're not totally to an entry just yet, but I'm starting to like that. Gold's got a nice little trend line, and then last but not least, the euro Aussie. Once again, this one is trading at about 124.50-ish, and I'm still looking at 12400. Trend line, reversal candle, 12400, 12400. So as we get there, watch for a reversal candle for that additional entry. Otherwise, we may be breaking this level and heading much lower. But I don't know. I think that's really good support, and I think we have a really good opportunity. There's a big double top here that could really be taking this thing down, but so far I'm liking support at 12400, and I want to see a bounce off of that and a continuation up. So 12400. In the meantime, nothing interesting to do on this pair just yet. Just waiting for 12400 for a possible buy opportunity on the bounce off support. So that's where I'm looking to take this thing. So remember, we have daily wrap-ups every day at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 12 midnight London time, and join us in the chat for that. You can get a free trial at daytradersfx.com and join us for the live morning sessions and our live daily wrap-ups every day that are about an hour long in the afternoons as well. So we'd love to see you there with us. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the chat. Thanks, everyone.